Hello Malaysia and welcome to another edition of The Nation. I'm Jared Ratnam and yet again we bring you another guest. Today we'll be having two to be exact to talk about something very interesting. We always talk about arts and crafts in this country, but do we know where they come from, the people behind the scenes, how they make a living for themselves? Little things like this we need to understand, and to walk us through what's happening in Sarawak, or when we talk about arts and crafts in Sarawak, one thing that stands out the most is Pua Kumbu. Do you know what that is? Well, if you don't, we've got some samples for you, and we're going to find out about this trade, or rather this craft within Sarawak. And joining me in the studio is Dr. Waylin Jahome. She is from the Gender Studies Department, Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Malaysia. She joins us right here at The Nation to talk a little bit about Pua Kumbu, and then we're going to move on to talk about Pua Kumbu being promoted in fashion or within the fashion industry in Malaysia. In the meantime, let's say hello to Dr. Waylin. Dr. Waylin, a good day to you, and thank you very much for taking time off to be with us. But I do understand that you're doing a lot of work in order to research Pua Kumbu and what it is, and most of us, we've probably heard it before, but we don't quite know what it is. And when you talk about traditions in Sarawak, Sarawak is a state which is very steeped in traditions, more so indigenous traditions, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and the problems faced by people, or rather traders, who come up with or make this lovely works of art for us. Yeah, we're going to get into that. So in the meantime, let's talk about you and how you got into the research of this project of Pua Kumbu.
Okay. I get into this research not by plan. It was by coincidence. At the time at University of Malaya, the university was trying to promote some kind of unique research that is based locally, and then one of the themes was to highlight on indigenous product.
Right.
In the beginning, I was suggesting like foresty herbs and all this kind of stuff, but then I stumbled on a few people who are researching on Pua Kumbu, so I read the literature, and then I found that there is no research has been done on the people behind the scene, producing the Pua Kumbu itself. So I went deeper, and then I did some kind of a little bit of my own research to look at the prices and also the stories of people who are buying the Pua Kumbu, and I realized that there is a huge gap between the price of the Pua Kumbu and the earnings of the weavers. So there was a big question. So I was thinking, okay, that would be very interesting to look at from the perspective of poverty and development, because I'm trained as the anthropology of development. So I'm trying to look at how this indigenous knowledge can be used to uplift the livelihood of the indigenous people.
Right. Of course, when you embarked on this journey to research people in your state and the people within the trade, where did you start? Was it a very, very random research, or did you move from district to district speaking to people first?
Yeah, actually, it took me 1 year just to do the groundwork, because I know nothing about Pua Kumbu. Like you and a few other people, you know, I see Pua Kumbu as a table runner, you know, and then we don't actually know what it's made from, because if you don't read the books, you wouldn't know, because the information about Pua Kumbu is not much has been disseminated to the public. And then I started from one longhouse to another longhouse, but my first stop was in Kapit, and then I went to this longhouse called Rumah Hengkang. Now it becomes Rumah Tunjah because the headman has changed. And they actually first to introduce me, to show me how all this natural dye is processed to be fixed to the yarn, you know. Okay, but then my real intention was to find this one particular longhouse called Rumah Gari. I didn't know how to get there.
What is it called again?
Rumah Gari.
Rumah Gari.
It is actually at Nanga Sempang, at the Baleh River, Upper Kapit, on the way to Kutai. I don't even know if people knows about existence. It doesn't even exist on Google Map. So, and after 1 year of search, and I still didn't know. I met a few people who knows about these longhouses, but they didn't. Okay, kind of they didn't want to tell me how to go there. And then one of the person from the education office say, oh, if you would like to go there, it will cost you thousands of ringgit, you know. It's very expensive. So
why is it expensive to go there?
Well, it's not that expensive if you know how to go there, because from Kapit town itself, you just have to jump on express boats for about 3 to 4 hours, and then you stop at a place called Sungai Kain, Nangai Kain, and then you jump on a longboat to go to Rumahgari and take about another 1.5 to 2 hours.
Right.
But the thing is, if you don't know the people there, so you will never get there. So when I had my first talk at Textile Museum, there was sometimes, I don't remember when, but I think it was sometimes in July or August in 2012. Then I met this lady, said, oh, there is a weaver from Rumahgari who is actually trying to sell Pua Kumbu at the National Craft here in Kuala Lumpur. After my talk, I went straight away to meet her.
Right.
And then that's how it all started. So she invited me to her longhouse, and then I had my first trip with my crew, and then we stayed there for 2.5 weeks.
Right.
It was already in, I think it was in October 2013 that we went there for the first time. Yes.
And what was this experience like, going to Rumahgari and meeting this weaver people you were introduced to?
I actually didn't have any expectations. Like I just follow the flow, because I've never been to that very okay, I've been once a few years ago, but it was not the same way of arrangement, you know.
Right.
Somebody took me there, but this one, like, I have to plan everything to meet her in Kapit, and then together we went to Rumahgari. And then when we first arrived there, but she has already announced my arrival and also what I'm going to do there. But of course, as an outsider, even though I'm Sarawakian, okay, but I'm a Bidayu, so they are Iban. So I always find that if you speak the language,
right,
you know, people will open up their heart, their house to you.
I don't know, but no, I beg to differ, because even if you don't speak the language, Sarawakian people are very open by nature, and they're always very welcoming, you know.
Yes, I completely agree with you, but in this kind of research,
right, in research or letting out secrets or traditional secrets, maybe.
Yes, I mean, it took me a while to gain their trust, because like that's why, like, I've been in this research almost 3 years now,
right,
but I think what I gathered information or data for this research is only about 20%.
Right, so there's so much more to be collected or collated
lot.
Collected and collated when you talk about research.
Yes.
Well, there's Pua Kumbu, Pua Sungkit, and Pua Karap, the different types. Just before we come back to Pua Kumbu, can you tell us the difference between Pua Kumbu, Pua Sungkit, and Pua Karap? By the way, well, for those of us who haven't seen Pua Kumbu, I'm sure you've seen this before, gone to an arts and crafts center and bought this, like you said, as a table runner, without understanding what it is,
Yes. Actually, not many people see Pua Kumbu in this color, because this is very distinctive and only from Rumahgari.
Right.
It is made from the color they produce from a roots called akar penawar landa, scientific name Fibraria tinctoria, and not any other longhouses is using it, because it's not known to them. Yes, and then it has been introduced to the public only about 6-7 years ago. Right. Yeah.
Right. So this was never seen by the public until about 6-7 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. But the more interesting thing, I guess, about Pua Kumbu is the way it's made. Most of us think it's cloth or cotton being woven into what it is today. You know, like. But there's a very interesting story as to how they get the fibers for this, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. In the traditional days, they were actually planting small species of cotton next to their hill rice.
Right.
So after harvesting, after everything is finished, and then they are focusing on pua. So they harvest the cotton, did the spinning themselves, and then have modern bath, you know, and then they design it on the warp, and only then they dye it, and then it was a repeated process, and it was much more difficult in those days. Okay, but now, because they are readily available raw material, and most of the cotton are from China, but it's 100% cotton. And then they were also introduced to silk by a very well-known designer through Sarawak Society Atelier back in 1980s, and that's when they started to weave on silk. But silk is very expensive. But the good thing about these weavers are they still hold on to the raw cotton,
right?
Because it's very striking, and then it is very
striking
traditional.
in color.
Yes, like for example, okay,
Right.
This one is silk too, but on a lot of buyers, they always request for the one which is on raw cotton because it has some kind of sense of traditionalism, you know, and it is the identity of this cloth.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
this textile, this Pua Kumbu. And this one, even though it is colored with the natural dye that they use, this
Can we
one
just
is
open
from
this up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. This one is from the roots, Mangkudu root. Everybody knows Mangkudu.
Right.
A scientific name Morinda citrifolia, and it produced this very beautiful brick maroonish color, you know.
Right.
But one thing that everybody has to understand that you cannot produce the same color every time. So if you buy this, you should not let go.
Right. So this is like one of its kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of
You'll
its
never
kind.
be able to get the
No,
same.
you don't get the same tone. And even the design, even though they are copying the same design, but it will never be exactly the same. So hold on to it when you have that one, you know.
Right, right. So every time you buy one, it's a one of a kind.
Yes.
Don't let go of it.
Don't let go.
But it's provided it's the original.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
of course. And each of these pieces has a story, has a name. I don't remember all the names, but this one is Gantong Sengayo.
Gantong Sengayo.
Yes,
That's what it's
Gantong
called.
Sengayo.
Okay.
This one I don't remember.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But each of these has a name, and then it's a kind of jejulo. Jejulo is like the poetry of the piece, you know. And then there is the interpretations and the story about this every piece as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Is this the little thing we're watching on TV now, the slide?
Yes.
Is that how they do it? Is that the process?
Yeah, that is backstrap loom. Yeah, but this one is not Pua.
It's not Pua. But
No, because Pua, the weavers design it on the warp itself, and the design is already there.
Right. This is Pua.
Yes, this one is Pua. Yes, yes, and this one is called backstrap loom.
It's called a backstrap loom.
Yeah, because they have to strap it on the back for the tension,
Right.
and then they start to weave it. And in fact, according to the weavers, weaving process is the easiest part because they
Right.
just have to put in the thread. But the most difficult part is called ngebat or ikat. You know, when they try to determine the design, because it really needs a lot of skills to understand where they should tie.
Is that Britney Spears? I don't think it's Britney Spears.
No, that's not Britney Spears. Okay, their design is called Bali Kalikut.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
yes.
It's called Bali Kalikut. And what
Yes.
what does that mean? Does these names have a meaning of some sort?
Yeah, the name has meanings, but it's very, it is very mystical. How do you call that? It's hard to say the name and also the understanding of the name itself because it can mean something else.
Right.
And that's why they have this interpretation of the name where they actually say it in poetry or they have a story related to it. Yeah, and as a non-Iban speaking, I mean I speak Iban, but it's not my native language, so
Right.
I am struggling to understand the words because even Iban themselves, they do not understand unless they have learned
Right.
what's behind
It's like
Yeah.
Chinese and Japanese characters. You know, when Chinese people look at, or Chinese Mandarin-speaking people look at
Yes.
Japanese characters, they can kind of tell what it is, but they they can read it out, but they can't actually explain it sometimes.
Yeah, I give you one example. There are a few scholars who has misinterpreted the word ramaung. Okay, in a few books published in the 60s and recently, ramaung has been interpreted as tiger. But in fact, it's not a tiger. It's not even an animal.
Right.
It is actually the thing or something which is in the upper world in the Iban cosmology, which is called ramaung.
Right.
Yeah, so they have buah ramaung. It's a very old, old puat design. And then there are also a few other things like bayak, for example. You cannot say bayak because it will mean something else. So you have to say baya, and baya is crocodile. But even the crocodile, you have 2-3 different type of crocodiles, and you have the male, the female. So unless you have asked the weaver which one is male, which one is female, and what kind of crocodile is that, then each crocodile has is representing
Right.
something else because most of the gods and goddess in Iban cosmology will manifest themselves either through nabal, which is serpent, or baya, crocodile. Yes.
It's very interesting. Of course, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the weavers themselves and the problems they're facing in modern day, and how much they get paid as opposed to how much one of these are being sold for. We'll come back with that shortly right here at The Nation. Stay with us.
Taman Laut, Khazanah Negara. Murid-murid, selamat datang ke Taman Laut. Mari kita lihat apa itu Taman Laut. Kita sekarang di salah satu daripada 42 pulau Taman Laut. Malaysia diiktiraf antara 12 negara yang kaya dengan biodiversiti di dunia.
Uyo, banyaknya ikan. Jom kita pancing.
Budin, jangan. Kat Taman Laut tak boleh memancing. Jom kita tengok apa khazanah dalam laut. Inilah terumbung karang sebagai rumah ikan, tempat mereka mencari makan, berlindung dan membiak.
Cikgu, kita boleh mandi di taman laut tak?
Boleh, asalkan kita mematuhi etika ketika berada di taman laut. Jangan menyentuh dan mengganggu hidupan laut. Jangan menangkap ikan, jangan membuang sampah, jangan memijak karang. Bersama memelihara kelestarian taman laut.
Welcome back to The Nation. That was an amazing video. Dr. Waylin, how long did it take for you and your crew to put that video together?
Well, collecting the shots, it took us 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Just collecting the shots. Wow, that's quite a while. Eh?
And the editing, I think it took the audiovisual person a few months and then putting it together, because we have so many amazing shots and it's difficult to, you know, to pick which one is the best. But this is the best one that we can present to the public to make it more mystical.
Right.
Because,
But of course, to get up close and personal with these people and their work, there's going to be an exhibition, isn't it?
Yes.
So that starts on the 13th of June.
13th of June, launching, which is at Arts Gallery,
Right.
University Malaya, Level 5 Chancellery Building, until the 17th of July.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a little something which you and me can learn a little from and take our kids there.
Yes.
I mean, sample this great exhibition, you know, get to touch the fabric and the steep tradition or the deep tradition behind what's going on. But more importantly, what's worrying is, at this point, from what we understand, the people who are involved in the industry, the weavers, when it comes to them being paid or when they sell their work, they get close to nothing, from what I understand.
Yes, almost nothing.
Right.
If you make a calculation based on minimum wages, they are very far from even getting near to that, you know, because the first problem they are facing, because they do not have any platform to market their product. So basically, when they sell their pua, they actually sell it to the middle person. And also, and how did they get their yarn is also from the middle person.
Right.
So the middle person actually provide them with the yarn, ask them to weave, and normally they are practicing a system called system beragih in Iban. It was traditionally like as a gift, you know, but in modern days you cannot take as a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the person who commissioned the yarn will take 2 pieces or 3 pieces, whichever which is produced. So 1 piece will go back to the weaver.
Right.
Okay, but the problem is this person doesn't give any much more than the yarn. So all the natural product like the dye, the process and everything is provided by the weaver. Okay, this is what I understood from my interviews of many weavers. So the last piece which is given to the weaver is a kind to compensate her labor work.
For the work.
Yes,
yeah.
for the work. But if she decided to sell it to the person who commissioned the yarn, she can actually sell it like the lowest price I heard was 300 ringgit. Yeah, and the highest price I heard was about 1,000 ringgit.
Right.
But even 300 to 1,000 ringgit, you know, like 2-3 months of work with all those natural resources that they have to provide, I mean, it's not worth it, because one piece of 8 by 2 you can actually sell between $800 to $3,000.
So someone's making a killing out of this. Someone's found a loophole. And yeah, so what's being done about it? Who can do something about this? You know, I love arts and craft. I love performing arts in the country. But when I hear how people are being, taken for a ride, people being cheated, there must be a way forward with this. You know, who should be looking after the welfare or the well-being of these people?
It's very hard to say, because National Craft is actually trying to promote this as well, but I do not think that they can actually penetrate into the territory, you know, because it's a far away place, and most of the weavers are living at the longhouse, and it's not easy to get them through the network. Even phone networks they don't have, you know. So, and there are also like associations like Sarawak Indo Dayak Sarawak who actively try to promote this product, but I think the sense of selling is still not there. Most of them, or even the collectors, you know, they commission the weavers to do the pua because they want to keep it for themselves, you know, and then they don't have any intention to sell. Only a few people selling, but the one that you see sold in the souvenir shop are not original pua. They are chemical dye. Okay, so how can we put forward this? I mean, there are a few designers who try to showcase pua at the international level. You know, they have some awards and this kind of stuff, but that is not enough, because you need to make the weavers to be independent.
Right.
They need to access the market without the middle
Okay, I
person.
mean, if we're going to depend on associations and departments to go out and get work done, this is going to take like forever. So
Yes.
if we were collectively as a nation worried about this and we want to do something about this, how can we help?
Okay, how can we help? I do not know how everybody is helping, but on my part, on the research, because it's a dying art, and not much is known about Pua.
Right.
And I have one PhD student. She is actually the curator for Tunjuga Foundation, who is actually actively trying to promote and to conserve the designs of Pua. So what we are trying to do now, at least from my research, which is funded by High Impact Research University Malaya, we are trying to create an indigenous knowledge database, and we are trying to get as much information and data, and we are recording every steps of the way, the process of making this, and then try to disseminate this knowledge to the public, to whoever are interested. Because for now, you know Pua as Iban, Iban culture,
yeah.
but we are Sarawakian, you know, and we love this as well. Okay, but I do not think that other ethnic group would know about this.
Right.
You know, the process.
So
the
within
science about
Sarawak,
it.
not many people know
Not
about
many
this.
people know.
So it's a learning curve which all of us
It
have
is.
to I mean go through and
Yes.
understand. So basically, if we're going to support the trade and buy the stuff that's being done, made by the Iban women, you know, how would we know what we're buying?
Okay, and now we have this a website, which is just online last week. We created a website to explain the process, where to get this, and where's the natural dye, who are the weavers, and how the profit will go to the weavers. So it's on rhgareh.com, rhgareh.com.
So rhgareh.com,
Yes.
and we'll get all the information you need
Yes,
about
and from there you can actually order based on the design, and also what kind of yarn you want, what size, and everything. So at the moment we are just communicating through email. So 100% of the profit that you order from the website is going to the weavers themselves.
So basically, I mean, people who want to buy this would be tourist people coming into the country. People one way, you know,
we actually sold a lot to tourists.
Tourists,
Yes.
I mean, you know, I can't see myself wearing this as a shirt because it look like very.
You can
Yeah,
actually.
I can.
Yes.
It look like a little bit like Earth, Wind and Fire, but that aside,
No, actually it's really nice. Like for example, okay, my husband, I make for him a very nice batik from Pua, the blue color.
Right.
And then everybody say, wow, your batik is very nice. Like instead of wearing painted batik, which everybody loves, why not now try to make your batik out of Pua? You know?
Yeah. So it's Pua Kumbu, and once again, the website is that's rhgareh, GAREH.com, to get information as to what's real and what's not. What's more important is the people who are within the industry, the weavers, the women who are doing this. There's, like I said, it's steeped in tradition. There are rituals that are involved in this, and it takes a lot of time. We don't want them to be fleeced. Let's see what we can do to help these people out. What would be your message to Malaysia with regards to supporting, you know, arts and crafts in Malaysia, more so keeping Pua Kumbu alive?
Go explore.
Keeping the trade alive.
Go explore Malaysia, especially Sarawak, because this is like hidden art, dying arts. You know, the weavers are in their 70s, so we need new generations. And if you come from the public agencies and everything, try to think of something to call them for workshops, and then to teach the younger generations, at least to introduce them to this, because I do not think that a lot of people know about this textile.
So we have people within the peninsula who can perform workshops for us to understand what this is about, or do we need to bring them from Sarawak?
We have to bring them from Sarawak.
Right, so that's a little something we can think about as to how we can bring these people here to share this knowledge with us. We say, you know, this is the traditions of our country. How are we going to promote it? You know, how active are we in wanting to do this? You know, how do we want to push this forward? That's the main question, or that's the perennial question. How do we want to push this forward to the next generation, arts and crafts of Malaysia? Well, we'll take a short break. Dr. Waylin, it was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
We'll come back with more with regards to Pua Kumbu, and of course we'll bring someone who's very involved in the industry when it comes to selling and of course promoting Pua Kumbu. But once again, we'd like to thank you, Dr. Waylin, for the work you've done, And we'll definitely have you back again to walk us through Pua Kumbu. And it'll be great if we can get someone to come talk about it
Okay.
from Sarawak. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be back shortly right here at The Nation.